Welcome. My name is Lasse Lecklin, and I would like to actually not only welcome you to see this exhibition and my work, but also welcome all of you to the Anthropocene. So, as said, my name is Lasse, and I come from Helsinki, Finland. I'm now one of the artists in this exhibition called Forever Changes, and I'm going to present you a bit of my work and show you this work called Crossings, which is composed of photo series and also a series of videos. And why I told you why I wanted to welcome you to the Anthropocene. It's the current geological epoch that the International Geographical Congress decided to call that the human influence on the planet Earth has been so important that in a way there's no way of turning back, and that we have or the Earth has kind of transformed from the epoch of Holocene to Anthropocene. And my work Crossings is documenting that crossing of that threshold where humans' influence on the Earth is irreversible. And I would like to first start by showing this image of Jökulsárlón. That's a glacier lagoon in Iceland, and it's kind of, I would say it's a very romantic image, and that's the image of what people would expect to see when thinking about glaciers and icebergs and the changes in nature. That's okay, the ice is melting a bit and so on, but it's still quite pretty and white. And if you have been to Iceland or just ever went to Instagram on photos of Iceland, probably this glacier lagoon with the beautiful turquoise water and white ice is what you would see and expect to get. So let's move a bit over here. So it's all images of glaciers in Iceland from a couple of different glaciers, but mostly from Vatnajökull, which is the biggest glacier in Europe. And I've been now working for over 5 years. I've been regularly, even if I live in Helsinki, I've been especially interested in the Arctic areas and the changes, what comes through humanity's actions, but also the natural slow processes. And I want to work in a way of depicting environmental changes through many ways. So for 5 years I've been working regularly, usually 1 to 2 months a year, staying in Iceland and traveling to different glaciers. When I first started the work, I have a background in photojournalism, and then I graduated as a Master's of Arts in Helsinki from Aalto University, the art school in photography. And as I had been working for 15 years on journalism, especially press photography, I started to, when I started studying in the art school, art photography, I wanted to, that was because I wanted to work on topics that I could choose myself and not only do commissioned freelance work or that, but to actually work with topics which I feel are important and actual. So during the years I started to collaborate with some natural scientists, with some biologists, glaciologists, geographers, physicists, all this, and then I went to Iceland in 2009 for the first time as a tourist. So for a couple of weeks I just did the Circle Road, all the things that you need to do if you're visiting Iceland for the first time. I was amazed by the landscape, and because even if Finland, my native country, is also Arctic country, the nature is quite different. In Iceland, the climate is very harsh and very different. Then, as I always, after that trip, I started to collaborate with these scientists, and I learned more about what are the actual topics and what's kind of the most urgent issues in environmental field. And now, due to global warming and the climate crisis, it's obvious that it's especially in the Arctic areas where the rising temperatures have the biggest effect, and that has an important effect on all of us, and it's also our actions over here, be it in Glasgow or in Helsinki or anywhere on the globe. It especially affects the polar regions the most. So for many years I was thinking, what would I like to do and how to tackle these questions. And when I got back to Iceland in 2016, I stayed there for a couple of months in the first time in an artist residency, and I started to go back to the same places where I had been 7 years earlier. And before going there, I couldn't really figure out what would be the best way of presenting a change that we have been reading now about for already quite many years, that the average temperatures everywhere on the globe are on the rise, and how does it affect the Arctic nature, especially the glaciers. But when I got there, I realized that actually the change is already visible there. Like in many places where I went to, I went to the same time of the year, and I realized that, okay, actually the walk from where you could drive by a car and then start reaching the glacier, the walk was longer, even if I was there in the same month, in this kind of on the same time of the year. So I realized that, okay, just by a physical experience, I noticed that there's a big difference on the amount of ice, because it takes longer to walk to reach the end of the ice from the road or so. And so that was one starting point, and I started to document. So these are aerial images of glaciers, and I started to document different places. And first I was thinking, like, okay, should I try to do, for instance, so-called repeat photography, so that I would go to the same place every year, document the change, take regularly kind of like time-lapse photos, and then thus show what are the changes that are happening there, especially in the amount of ice. But then I realized that, okay, actually there's no time to do that. That it wouldn't make sense to try to communicate this over 10 or 15 or 20 years, because then if I want to convey a message or to show something that is crucial and actually happening right now, it would be way too late to take action first, to work on this project and then show it at the end and ask people to act in order to prevent it. So there's no time for that. And also I realized that when I travel to different, especially glacier tongues, as they are called, in the beginning I wanted to show you the photo with the white ice and nice turquoise water. That's the image and the cliche. But actually in many places the ice is covered in black. And what's that? So it's a question about black carbon. So all these small particles that we have been, the humans, have been burning oil and coal for about a couple of hundreds of years since the Industrial Revolution. And of course that ends up especially in the polar areas in the atmosphere and lands on the glaciers. And now, thanks to the rising temperatures, well, since Icelandic climate is relatively mild, actually, so even in the summer, the temperatures rise to a steady 11 degrees, and then in the winter is -degrees. So there's a natural rhythm of seasonal change in the amount of ice on the glaciers. And what's happening now with the rising average temperatures, it means that every year there's more thawing of the glaciers than there in the winter time would be new snow packed and little by little turning into ice and glaciers. So that means that there's more and more layers which are revealed in the ice. So gradually it's becoming from the white, it's turning black. And that's the shocking revelation in a way for me, myself at least, is that it's actually there already. All this is ice, so now I need to maybe emphasize that this is all documentary photos. There's no photoshopping or anything, it's kind of straight out of the camera. They are not paper cuts, they are not paintings or drawings or anything. So this is ice from above, this is water, the brownish, grayish water is, if you look at the first photo there on the top left corner, this is one of the glacier tongues coming out from the glacier up in the mountains, and then thanks to the seasonal change, there's the ice flowing down kind of towards the sea level, and then these are details from different sites. And so the tongues in front, the glacier tongues form, in front of them there is always a glacier lagoon formed, and most of them are actually looking like this. So compared to the touristy perfect image which I showed you in the beginning, most of the places are looking rather like this. Obviously they're not so attractive for Instagram maybe. So so that's the big revelation, and why the water here is more like grayish, brownish. It's because all the particles which are then revealed from the layers of the ice, they mix with the water and kind of color the water that kind of like sort of ugly shapes, whereas in the first one the lagoon is so deep, it's a very old and deep one, so all the particles sink to the bottom, which is at 300 meters underwater. So that's why there's this color change. And what I want to coming back to what I said in the beginning, like trying to decide how to show the changes, and thinking about this repeat photography and so on, I realized that no, actually in these photos you have the different layers of time already in the same. So you can see the past, the present, and kind of a hint of a future as well. So here, of course, it's mixed with human influenced pollution, but then also ash, because it's a very volcanic country. There's all the time volcanic eruptions, so it's a mix of like humans' activities. You can look at them as a romantic, beautiful images of landscape, but then at the same time, when you dig into the topic a bit, it's also quite tragic and shocking, or there's a kind of a revelation that's at least for me talks hopefully through these images. Yeah, and then this series has it's a series of photographs, but then I've also been making videos where I'm showing usually the flow from the glacier tongue towards the sea. And here in this exhibition here at street level, we have one video which is a collaboration with an American artist who is a composer, musician, sound artist, Gabriel Gold, and he has been working inside the glacier caves, and as I've been working on top of the glaciers, he has recorded and mixed a soundscape. He's singing, playing different kinds of instruments, and recorded different sounds that you can have inside the glacier. So trying to give a more emotional feel and to give a voice to the glacier, whereas my starting point was more like maybe scientific, or starting from the scientific facts, the journalistic, documentaristic starting points. And we discovered each other, both had already been working on their own, and then we decided to make a collaboration. So here you can see one of the videos that we were working together with in Iceland. I think that's it in short to introduce you to this theme, and I warmly welcome you to visit the exhibition here at Street Level Photoworks in Glasgow. And myself, I'm doing right now I'm doing a first part of a two-part residency in Glasgow, so working on environmental issues also here. And I will be present for until mid-November now, and will be coming back next year. So if you happen to be around and have questions, please do contact me.